Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. We are excited to have a guest here with us today. We're actually talking to Tog.Ink, and spoiler alert, they are in our vendor directory. So this is very fun for you all who maybe aren't part of the A to Z directory. You get a little insight into their business and now a freebie vendor for you to go and look at all their amazing services. This episode is also a lot of fun because Cami and I are really scaling back on our guest episodes this year, but we felt like this one was a perfect fit to be able to talk to Shanna and April, who are both involved with Tog.Ink, and the parent company is known as the Occasions Group. So you're going to hear a little more from each of them because we're going to let them introduce themselves before we begin the episode. So April and Shanna, hello. We are so glad that you're here. And April, I think we'll have you introduce yourself first. And Shanna, you can go ahead and introduce yourself right after she's done.
Cool. My name is April Simmering, and I have been with the Occasions Group for 18 years. I started off working for Carlson Crafts / Tog during college, and I was in an area that made calls to potential customers, and I was not good at that. It was not my strength at all. But after graduating with my BFA, Bachelor in Fine Arts, I was looking for a career where I could use my creativity. And here we are. I'm the creative director for several of our brands, Tog.Ink, Carlson Craft, and Hortense B. Hewitt. And I really love that I get to use my creative background to create products for customers. And over the years, I've helped friends and family create their wedding invitations, Christmas cards, thank you cards. And after launching Tog.Ink, those projects became so much easier. And then a little bit about my personal life. My favorite things are my family, husband, and 2 boys. And I love outdoor activities, downhill skiing, mountain biking, and camping. And I love taking trips with my family and friends.
Yay. Thank you, April. So happy you're here. And let's hear from Shanna.
So, it was until the afternoon yesterday that I learned that she had worked at the Occasions Group the same amount of time as I have. So we have both been at the Occasions Group for 18 years.
Wow.
We both, I remember working with April all this time, just not realizing that we started in the same year. So my name is Shanna Bloomquist. I started as a copywriter with the Occasions Group after graduating college with a bachelor's degree in mass communications. Copywriting started out as writing basic product descriptions, writing a lot of business materials. And then as the years went on, it kind of morphed into more content writing, website content primarily. That became very, very important. And then as a few more years went on, social content became really important. So my job has morphed from one kind of writer in the business world to another. And so now, primarily, I have been a content writer for about the last 10 years. And then just recently, in the last few years, I've been taking on some marketing responsibilities because those 2 things are hand in hand. They work hand in hand. So that's been fun to learn something new and do something new. My husband and 2 kiddos and I all live here in Mankato, Minnesota. My little girl is 4 years old, and my little boy is 3 years old. We have a super cute dog. She's a Wheaten Terrier, and she's wonderful. And we have a cool cat named Tiggs. We spend a lot of time heading up north in Minnesota to the cabins. So I would say that's kind of our family pastime. We go up there in the winter, and we do all the outdoor things, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, that sort of stuff. And then in the summer, we boat on the lake and play in the sand, and we love to hunt for agates. It's a big thing for us. So that's me.
I didn't even know that was a thing until I looked at your bio. So very cool.
Yeah, it is a thing in certain parts of the country,
Yeah,
and
that is
Minnesota is
awesome.
definitely one of them. Yeah.
Really cool. Okay, well, that's amazing. You guys have been there for 18 years. Wow, that's some company loyalty right there. So tell us a little bit about what Tog.Ink is for someone who might not be familiar, and a little bit more about the founding of the company and how it kind of came to be.
Yeah, I can go for that one. Really, the foundation of Tog.Ink came from a need that we were having within the company. We had two very different ways that customers could purchase products from us. One was pre-designed invitations or stationery that they could add their own personalization to through Carlson Craft. And then the other one was working with a custom quoting team. And we really heard from designers that they wanted an easy way that customers could purchase our products and really just upload their own artwork. And it really came from designers who are looking to have those more custom type products available.
Wonderful. And I read something on the website about how it's been around for 70 years or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the
So
occasions group as a whole has existed for 70 years.
yeah, so I can give you the kind of the origin story on that particular point, because what April said is really important for Tog.Ink specifically, because that was kind of a culmination of years of getting to a point of really understanding what our customers needed at that time. But the company itself, so Tog.Ink, so TOG stands for the Occasions Group. And the Occasions Group is actually a print provider. We have across the United States. We have 4 facilities across the United States, 1 in each region. And the main print facility is here in Minnesota, and that's where Tog.Ink orders are printed. Primarily, I think, right, April?
Yes, yep, we're the main one.
Yeah, so we're the main print facility because the company actually started here in Mankato. Do you want the whole origin story? It won't take very long. I can kind of give you the details on it if you want it.
I want it. I really do. Because I love like when companies have been around for decades. I just think it's really interesting.
It is really interesting. And honestly, it took me about 10 years in this company to get to the point where I actually learned the full story, because I've bounced around within the company a bit to see different parts and pieces. So I've written about how it started a few different times. In 1948, there was a man, Bill Carlson, who started a company called Carlson Letter Service. And that company was created to print fine stationery like wedding invitations, among some other things. After a few years into his business, he ended up hiring a young man named Glenn Taylor. And I don't remember if Glenn Taylor was in college at the time or if he was had just graduated, but he was young and he had a family and, he was looking for a job. So he hired Glenn Taylor, and Glenn Taylor spent a lot of time in all the different areas of the company. So he really learned each department, each role. And I guess he really helped create efficient processes and move the company in a good direction. And eventually they doubled their business, given his help. And when it came to about, I think he worked his way to vice president at one point. And then around 1972, I've also seen 1975, he purchased the company and he called it Carlson Craft. Carlson Craft is an important name for us because really Carlson Craft is the brand that all of this was founded on. So Carlson Craft was Glenn Taylor's company. He purchased it, changed the name, still focused on fine wedding stationery, printing wedding invitations, also included business greeting cards. So for many, many years, really from the early 70s to, from what I understand, the late 90s, Carlson Craft was very successful in the wedding invitation industry, in the print industry for those two products, especially wedding invitations and greeting cards. So, and then in about the 2000s, there was kind of a shift. And you have to understand that during this time, Glenn Taylor was purchasing lots of other companies, not just print companies, but kind of a wide range of companies. And so he had purchased both print companies across the United States and other types. But in 2000, in about the year 2000, maybe actually I have 2005 noted, they decided to merge all of the print companies across the United States into one large company called the Occasions Group. And so they kind of changed their business model there. And so that's when the Occasions Group began. And then after that, as April talked about, I think it was 2017 when Tog.Ink was when it actually launched and was established. So, and that was just we just needed a simple custom print fulfillment solution for our customers. So that's kind of the story. There's actually, there's plenty more to it. We could probably spend an entire hour talking just about that story. But that is the history of it.
I love it. And my maiden name is Carlson, actually. So I think it's a funny coincidence that it was called Carlson Craft. Well, still is to this day, right? Because that sect still exists of the company.
Yep. So now we call it one of our brands. Yep. It used to be the name of the company. And then when we switched the name to the Occasions Group for all the print facilities, then Carlson Craft became a brand within that company. Yep.
Yeah, I think I remember, okay, you said like Tog.Ink, the website launched in like 2017, because I feel like I remember that because I was like the height of like me getting into doing a ton of invitations, and I was like, ooh, a new one on the horizon. So I remember like, yeah, that's right, 2017, right?
Well, April, do you remember? Honestly, I was there when it started. I had Arabelle that same year, but it might have been 2018. It might have been early 2018.
Right around that time. Yeah, because I know one of the things that was so important to me when I was doing invitations and still doing paper products now is just having that ease of use to be able to upload print files and order things easily without having to go through my first printers that I was working with. I would have to like take my artwork there physically, email them, PDF, like it was very clunky. And so I think there's just always been that need for something that's very simple and streamlined. So it was like a perfect time to have that service for sure.
That's really good to hear your experience. Actually, it's, we hear from customers from different channels, but it's really nice to hear anyone's experience and that it's really helpful for them. Because I think, the whole team, including April, put a lot of time and effort into getting this out there. And we could have just released it to just our customers. We didn't have to push it out externally, but there did seem to be such a need for it that we thought, well, why not?
Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys, seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best. You guys, everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions that you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and is full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group. Okay, so let's talk like what the actual printing area looks like at Tog, because I love print shops. Like I love going to them, but how many like printing machines do you have at Tog? Like, can you just tell us a little bit about like the actual like nitty gritty parts of that? Do you have any idea how many?
I have an idea, and April probably kind of has an idea too. I actually reached out to our production floor manager to give me kind of a rundown. And although I can't list off like how many exactly are in each area, I can tell you that there's, here is a large facility.
Yeah.
And we actually have both office teams we have office teams in the same building as the production teams. So we're in kind of the same environment. And we end up, seeing we used to be in separate buildings, which was interesting. I think a lot of times a production facility is separate from the office facility. So both April and I have been down on the production floor quite a bit. Now, that said, they change it a lot because the occasions group is working hard for their partners and trying to gain more business as all companies are doing. We're always working toward getting the better process down, the better equipment to fulfill our needs. So every year the floor plan changes. The thermotypes are now in a whole new section, and the Heidelbergs are now separated, and the envelope printers are in the northeast corner, and they were in the southeast corner, or something crazy like that. But for Heidelbergs, because most people, I think this audience is very interested in the Heidelbergs, right? So like letterpress and foil stamping is really a beautiful craft. And those machines are really impressive. And I know we have more than 30 Heidelbergs in just the Minnesota facility. About a quarter of those are used for letterpress, and 3/4 of those are for foil stamping. Foil stamping is probably our hottest. I mean, aside from digital, everybody needs digital. It's really more of a need than it is like a number one print process. But, foil stamping is probably our most popular specialty print process. Right, April?
Yeah, I completely agree. And those Heidelbergs, they take up a serious amount of space. So when you go out on the floor and see all of them running, and they're not quiet machines, it's quite impressive. It's a big building with a lot of different equipment in it.
That is so cool. And I mean, I can tell it's a big building just because you were calling it the northeast corner. And that's when you know it's a big building. Like, oh, it's over in that corner. It's the northeast
quadrants of the building. Yeah.
I was like, yes, that's a large building. No, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I would
that's
totally
so
nerd
cool.
out in there.
Yeah, I think it's between the building and the parking lot. It takes up the entire block.
Wow.
It does.
Oh my
People
goodness.
go for walk. Yeah, they go for walks, and all they have to do is walk around the building. That's a whole city block.
Amazing.
It's pretty. And there's a daycare center affiliated with our company also. So that's right across the street. So it's kind of fun. So when you walk around the block, you walk around the occasions group building, and then you come around the corner, and then there's like the huge playground with all the kiddos playing in the summer, of course, sometimes in the winter, but it's a nice view.
This just sounds like an idyllic place to work.
Speaking of daycare, like for your employees, how many people are working for the occasions group now? And is that a number that you guys know off the top of your head? And specifically the size of like the Tog.Ink team as well? I'm just really curious, especially if there's 30 Heidelbergs, I can only imagine how many people it takes to operate something like that.
That's a really good question. I would have been able to answer how many people work in our building before COVID.
Okay.
I don't know where it's at anymore. Pre-COVID, it was about, I want to say around 600 people in the building. And I know that because
Oh
I
my
chaired the,
gosh.
yeah, well, not all at one time, but like,
Yeah.
600 employees. And I want to say that, well, because I chaired the social committee for a few years, that's how I know that total count, because so that includes all the shifts, that includes remote workers too. But we always had to account for everyone and try to figure out a way to accommodate everyone in those social committee activities. Honestly, now, there's such a turnover issue in the industry, in all industries right now, that it is tough to keep staff full. So, at this point, I'm really not sure. And so that number includes both office workers and production. As far as like how big our team is, we're actually a shared resource within the occasions group. So across the brands that we work on, and the main ones being what April's mentioning or has mentioned, Tog.Ink, Carlson Craft, and Hortons B. Hewitt. And so as shared resources, we work across those. However, there's about 6 people across departments who focus on Tog.Ink and keep that going and pushing forward and such. So does that answer your question to the
Yeah, it does. It's actually that's a way bigger number than I would have guessed. I think I was thinking, maybe like 100 to 200 people. So yeah, 600 people for an operation. Yeah, between everybody you said kind of rotating is it's a lot to manage.
Yep, it is. And so there's, including all shifts. And when it comes to that, I don't know how many people come in for our second shift. I actually don't even know. We have an overnight shift, but I don't know if that's all year or if that's just Q4. April, do you know?
I think it kind of tapers off, during the non Q4 season, but I know there's for sure 2 shifts, and they might, change those hours around based off of whatever need is going on in the areas. But yeah, for sure 2 shifts.
Yeah, I mean, Q4 gets crazy, as we all know. Okay, so April, your title is officially creative director, which is like the most fun title, obviously. But tell us more about what that job entails and what that kind of means and what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, it's fun. I really enjoy it. So I get to be the person that kicks off the process of adding new products to our website. And it really all begins with understanding our equipment, the capabilities that we have with those pieces of equipment, papers, new inks and foils, and all the different specs that are needed to be able to print, whatever product we're looking into. Another fun thing that I get to do is review requests from customers. So if there's a new need that customers are requesting over and over, we look at that and try to figure out new solutions to be able to achieve that. And another thing is if we get paper requests or ink requests, I get to look into those things and try to get something out there for our customers. So yeah, I really get to kick off the process and adding new products to the site, which I have a massive list at all times, and and it never seems to get smaller. It always gets bigger, but it's one of those things where we really try to figure out the best ways to produce new types of products for our customers, and it's fun.
No, that is so cool because we tell our A to Z directory members all the time, like if you have a product idea or there's something you want to do, but it's not like listed all neatly on one of the drop downs on a printer's website or something, just email them, talk to them. You never know what could come of it. So you would be the girl that everyone needs to talk to, right?
Yep.
Yes. So things can still happen, you guys, just FYI, even if it's not explicitly listed on the website,
Yeah. And we have a really great team that is devoted to that too. So if it isn't on the site, somebody from that team can assist. And if there's a size or a print process or a combination of print processes that we don't necessarily have on the website, there are ways to get that project printed.
That's a perfect segue to one of the questions that Shauna was actually going to answer about creative ways people have used your services and reaching out, asking for things that aren't on the website. So I would love to hear actual examples of what people have come to you guys with to say, like, hey, guys, can you help me out with this? And maybe it's not listed. I think it would be really cool to hear some of those.
So, April, I'll start answering this question, but you might think of like specific examples that you want to list. If not, I actually did reach out to customer service, but we have a really good customer service team. There are a couple people on that team that have been here for years, and their knowledge of print is incredible. So I reached out to Rhiannon, actually, who leads that team, to kind of get an idea of what comes through them. And they do get a lot of custom requests. We actually have a custom quote form on our site in the footer of the website. And we ask that people fill that out to get an estimate or an idea of whether or not their project is possible and what it might cost. So I asked her, what are some of the common requests that they get? And I think what April just mentioned, regularly, not like every day, but she does say that regularly they have people asking for like a third print process. I think the example that she used was like embossing. So if you want like a two print process like a two print process flat card, and you want to add a third print process to it, you can probably do that by filling out the custom quote form and talking to our customer service team. She said the other requests that come through are for colored stocks and different types of paper. And she said sometimes we can special order those things. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes it's just and sometimes it gets pushed to April's team. So those are some of the common things that she hears. And then I think I covered the custom quote, but for example, we used to offer laser cut cards on the site. And, they really didn't sell. Laser cut, to me, it feels kind of complicated, or maybe it's a little bit intimidating. It just didn't really sell as a product on its own. So we took it off, but we still have it listed as a print process in the footer of the page, because if people want to do laser cutting, they can. And so we promoted that they can do laser cutting through a custom quote form, and that goes to that customer service team. So those are some examples I can provide. But April, maybe you have more to add to that.
Yeah, the ones that I've seen come through are 3 print processes, 4 print processes. I think there was a holiday card that was, it was a folded card that had digital printing and 2-color letterpress and a foil or something like that. So when people start stacking those processes on top of each other, it's not a very common request, but there is, that one project that the customer has worked with their client on, and it has to be printed a certain way because that's what the look is that they're going for. So it's really, when they start stacking those processes on each other. Requests for paper too. Yeah, that's another request that we hear about. And it could be that, this color blue is the specific color blue that the customer wants. So we do work with those customers on the different types of paper. We share what we have, and then we share what we can possibly get. But as we all know, the paper industry has been struggling a little bit with supply chain issues. So those things have been a little bit more difficult to get a hold of, but we try our best to fulfill what we can. And yeah, some of those multiple print process cards, they're beautiful and they're really, really unique.
Yeah, and it's so great that your customers can come to you and have like all those processes in-house, because it's so much more difficult. I know I've seen other stationery designers where they'll go to one printer for this process and then they have to do another printer for this process versus all in-house, which is so great and so easy. And because the best ways to do it, instead of having to like finagle that yourself, you can say, okay, here's how we're going to do it. And it's all seamless and under one project quote, which just, we love making life easy. So you guys offer a ton of products on the site. Like I'm just scrolling through and seeing even wrapping paper, you guys. Hello. So what is one of the most popular print services that you offer? Like what do people come back to you guys for again and again?
I would say hands down, it's digital and foil, digital plus foil products.
Yeah.
It's something that's still so popular in the market that people come back again and again. And I know there are customers that have entire product lines set up, like of regular greeting cards where they have our digital plus foil type products. But what I think is so valuable is, like you just said, is that we have so many options between the products and the processes and the papers that a customer could design an entire suite, start to finish, from invitation to all the way through day of type products. And then, like you said, we're continuing to expand to new types of products. Wrapping paper is something that we just launched, I believe, in November. And it's been such a fun new offering to be able to have on the site.
Yeah, that's a huge one. And acrylic printing, hello. People love that too. I'm just like throwing out some fun things that you guys do that I know our audience loves. So
Acrylic that's been a lot of fun, actually, from a promotional standpoint. Like that product is really neat and beautiful, and all the different ways that you can use acrylic that a lot of people probably don't think of, but the signage is really pretty. I will say there is a big challenge with acrylic in that when it started coming through photography, it's a tough thing to capture.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can imagine the challenges that the photographers face when they're trying to show something clear at its most beautiful.
Right? It's
At
like
its
when
fullest,
they're trying
yeah.
to sell mirrors on like Facebook Marketplace and they're always like in the mirror picture. It's just like,
Yeah.
like acrylic in mirrors, like you just can't get a good picture.
Yep.
So where are the majority of your guys' customers coming from then at this point? Obviously, the company has been around for a while, or Occasions Group has been around for a while. So at this point, is it word of mouth? Are you getting people via SEO or social? We would love to hear a bit about the marketing strategy side.
Yeah. When Tog.Ink first started, I know that it was word of mouth, and word of mouth from our customer service team, from our sales teams, from our customers to each other. So, because in the beginning, I'd call it a soft launch, right? We didn't really hit it hard when we first put it out there. There's a lot. It looks very simple because we're putting blank products out there, but April can speak to, and you don't have to now, April, but she could really tell you how complicated all of those SKUs get, right? And I think you guys understand because you deal with all the parts and pieces of all the different things too. So, we did kind of a soft launch and kind of focused on word of mouth, tried to do some light like emails out to our current customers. And then as from there, it really was just as people signed up for accounts, we pushed emails out to them, some messaging out to them, but pretty light. It's just in the last couple of years that we've been trying to hit it a little bit harder. Tog.Ink is growing well. Like it's growing steadily. We're not like taking off, but we're also doing pretty good. So some light marketing efforts toward promoting it in different ways. And I would say just in the last year, we've been really trying to push search engine optimization because that's where a lot of my background comes into play. And so getting the right content out there and helping Tog.Ink get found in organic searches, that's something that we're really working toward. The site, and I was there when the site was built, the site was not built for search engine optimization. And so it's a little bit of a challenge to make sure to find those places that we can optimize best. But I think we've done really well. We're going in a really good direction. We can see some progress in certain areas. Let's see, what's the other? And we've done some PPC, not a lot, but we put some limited resources into pay-per-click ads, and that's been for the last few years too. Yep. We've seen good success with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always interesting to hear how a company, especially a larger company, is marketing themselves to people. And I mean, even as a small, like one woman show, we still have the same struggle, right? Of figuring out what's the best way to get customers and get clients and how do they find us. So it's always a fun battle, if you will.
Well, and this is such such a specific community and environment, and that's what's so nice about finding your podcast and listening to your podcast is that I feel like I've learned a lot from your podcast and just different perspectives from the different people that you've interviewed, and it's just been really helpful to understand the what can be a wide range of audience, but that everyone has this very common love and passion. So, it's something that we want to hit the right areas. We want to push it to the right people. But we don't want to overshoot. We don't have to. There's a certain communities that need this, and we want to find those people. So we just want to be helpful and
I love that.
people
At the end of the day, you just want to be helpful, just want to be there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of being helpful, let's bring it back around to what the process looks like with working with you guys. Just maybe talk through that a little bit, and let's talk about customer service. You mentioned you had a great customer service team. So if something did go wrong in this process, how would Tog handle it? So let's talk about the process and then the customer service response from you guys.
I think that customers likely work with Tog.Ink in a variety of ways, whatever the project is. They probably choose to work with it how they want to. But in my opinion, designing projects, I always start with an overall idea and then figure out what the best papers, print processes are to achieve that look. And then speaking from my own experience, because I have used the website for various things, one of my favorite projects was my own wedding invitations. And I knew from the start I wanted to have a letterpress invitation on cotton paper, but I also wanted to have a watercolor look. And I considered doing the watercolor digitally plus letterpress, but I really, really wanted the thick cotton paper, which isn't an option to run through a digital press. It's just too thick. So then what I decided on doing is I printed the wording on the 220-pound cotton letterpress, and then I hand painted each invitation to achieve the watercolor look. I had a super small wedding, so it was a very doable project. But with all the options on the site, I was able to narrow down exactly what I wanted, what print processes, what papers, and I was able to upload a PDF and it went to print. And then from there, I took I think it was under 30 invitations and set a goal of printing 3 to 5 a day. And it gave me enough time to get everything in the mail and shipped off. So it was a really great way to narrow down like what the look was that I wanted, but also the paper and processes. And I think that's a great way to use the website for different print projects.
Yeah, because honestly, there should be like a printing flow chart because, okay, you want this paper. Well, that process doesn't work with this. So you want to do this and you know what I mean? Like, it's like, If you do this, then this cannot happen. But if you do this, this and this can happen. So it's kind of like managing those expectations and seeing what truly is possible, but also like trying to figure out how to push the limits on that too.
Exactly. Oh, yes. I'm also known in the printing area, the production facility, as somebody who always pushes. Product development and creative directors always push a little bit harder. Let's go a little bit further than we should.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't do that, you wouldn't be the creative director, right? Always like, what if we do this? Okay.
And then I get the blank stare and the head shake, and I'm like, okay, let's try it. Let's test it out. Let's see what it looks like.
Let's see what happens. The worst thing that happens, we break a machine. It's fine. Oh, okay. So tell me a little bit too about if a customer did have an issue with an order, it happens. Something gets misprinted or there's not the right amount or something like that. How would Tog.Ink handle that?
So that, goes to our customer service team primarily. It sounds like for Tog.Ink, I think because it's probably a younger audience than like our Carlson Craft retail partners who have been, those Carlson Craft retail partners who are selling invitations maybe in store or online, they've been with us. Some of those people have been with us for decades. So they tend to call in more. I guess through Tog.Ink, it's a lot of email and chat. And so I guess that's kind of the touch point that's normally used. And then when they come to customer service with whatever questions or problems they need, or with whatever questions or problems they have, the solutions are really case by case basis. It can be anything from the person just working through the customer service person just working through how to upload a file, which, by the way, 9 times out of 10, well, really probably 10 times out of 10, the issue, if a person has a problem uploading a file to the site, is the size. So it actually just will not allow a person to upload a file if it's not saved at the correct specifications. So the first thing they do is check in with the customer and go through those checkpoints. How did they save that file? So that's one of the more common issues that come through on that front. The other thing that they push a lot, and honestly something that I will be looking into doing better on the site, is promoting the templates. So it would really be helpful for us on our end to link to the template page on every product detail page. We have run into issues in the past in figuring out exactly how that should work. But it's on my list of things to look into to really figure that out, because the templates are really helpful for both the customer and customer service, of course. In that if you can use the template toward the beginning of your project, then you really can eliminate a lot of issues that come through. The template also lists all the specs that are required for saving the file, and it eliminates the positioning issues that might occur. Which I think most people find when they upload the project to the site and they see it in the preview. A lot of times they'll see that maybe there's a positioning issue. Every once in a while, it'll still go through to print, and then they might see that toward the end of the process. So we just really highly encourage people to check out that templates page in the footer of the website. It is really, really helpful. There's a template for almost every product that's out there.
Yeah. And that's super helpful too, because I wanted to ask you guys about like prepping files for print to help ensure like you don't have mistakes. And it sounds like the templates are the way to go. And honestly, why would you not use that? It cuts out a step, you guys. You don't have to like second guess and make sure like, oh, did I get the right thing? And it always would be the right size. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And along with the templates, there are specs on each one of the product pages. There's a bunch of cheat sheets. So if you go to the footer of the site, there are a ton of other resources, FAQs, all the things that if you're questioning or if a customer's questioning the type of printing that can be done, how the PDF should be handled, there's a lot of information in there. And like you said, Shanna, the most important step, I think, is definitely start with the template and then go from there, because you have everything you need to set up the files correctly. And then once you're done, you just upload that PDF. And if you're choosing an ink color, you choose that. And the preview gives you everything that you need to be able to see how it's going to look in the end.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you guys, just FYI for our audience, they do have a help center in their footer, and it has the cheat sheets, the artwork specs, FAQ, the custom quote form in case you need to say, hey, I want to do this thing and talk to April about it. It's all right there. So be sure to utilize that when you're checking out Tog.Ink. I guess I'm supposed to put .ink in there. I keep calling it Tog.Ink. I don't know.
That's fine. And if anyone comments with like information that they'd like to see or cheat sheets that they'd like us to create, we definitely want to hear that. I actually noted the printing flowchart that you mentioned earlier, because I think we could look into seeing if we could create something like that for certain print processes, because it is kind of a complicated workflow at times, especially when you're new to it.
Yeah, I really think that would be like a great thing. So let's definitely steal that, because that would be super helpful, especially, getting started in the industry. You don't know what you don't know. And it can be very overwhelming and trying to learn about all different print types. I mean, I know for me working with my clients, I basically was like, listen, I pretty much do digital and foil and that's it, because I started doing a letterpress suite, and it just got with digital, and it just got very complicated because it wasn't like my favorite thing. So it's always helpful to have, insider resources who can show you how to set things up correctly and tell you what's going to work with what type of paper, that kind of thing. So that would be a great asset for sure.
Wonderful. Are there any final thoughts that we have before we wrap everything up?
Yeah, actually. Follow the blog. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to go out there, but the Tog.Ink blog shares some interesting information, just some creative stuff, some inspirational stuff. But really, the blog is there to try to push some kind of insider knowledge and advice from our company to our customers. And the more we write, the more particular and specific this information gets. Every time we have a team. Actually, everyone on our team that contributes to Tog.Ink also contributes to the blog, including even one of our photographers. Like she did a blog post on window lighting and product shots that I think was pretty interesting. We have our art director, Eric. He has put together a few tutorials. April has given some quotes and information in certain articles on some of her work or some of her creative favorites and things like that. Although I would like to enlist April more. She doesn't know that yet, but so April has like a beautifully creative mind. So like looping her into more things is always a good idea.
Aw, thanks, Shanna.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I think that, just check it out. If it's not their cup of tea, or if it's not people's cup of tea, that's totally cool. But it's just our way of trying to get a little peek behind the scenes to our customers, because I do think what we do is really interesting. I think, we are a big company. We are a big print fulfillment company. And there was a time where we thought maybe that was a bad thing for these customers. But I think now we're understanding that there are any number of local print shops across the United States, and they're all wonderful. They do a beautiful work. They really have this wonderful craft. But designers today, people especially doing stationery, we all need convenience, we all need efficiency, and we all need ways to get things done faster and more simply, So like we spoke about in the beginning, Tog.Ink offers all these different specialty print processes that people are working for in one place. And we are a bigger corporation, but we do offer our services to, I think, unlike a lot of businesses out there, we offer these services to really large companies and to companies big and small, and that's pretty amazing, knowing that your print comes from a place that, does print for some pretty big customers. So it's also special, we can help people scale their work, and that's kind of that. So
No, I completely agree. The scaling of the work is just a huge asset. And honestly, I love y'all's blog because you get to see like photos of end products and get ideas and see what these print processes actually look like, or things that have been done that you guys can do, the capabilities. It's really cool. I feel like sometimes when you're just browsing through the print, things you can do, you don't necessarily like, well, what does that actually look like? What does blind letterpress look like? And then you go look at it and you're like, oh, wow, I could do that with them. It's just a great way to get ideas and get those creative juices flowing to see what kind of things you guys are capable of. And I love seeing like behind the scenes processes of like the foil stamping and that kind of thing. So it's just very cool to look at some of those projects you've done, and they're beautiful. So
thank you.
The only other thing that I would share is we are working on a designer toolkit. It's something that I think we still have the link on the site. We did one run of them, and now we're working on a second one. But it is such a cool tool. It shows the different ink colors that we have available, foil colors, letterpress, all the different not all the different papers, our most popular papers. And then it shows all of those print processes and mixing print processes together. So when a customer comes in, if they're not familiar with what a foil plus letterpress will look like, here's an example. So that's something we are working on, getting a new version of that out to our customers currently. So I love it. It sits in my office with me every day and I do use it all the time. So once we get that next one out there and available, that is something that if customers are new to Tog.Ink, it is a fun tool to be able to help them sell and explain the different things that Tog.Ink can offer.
And I think last I heard it was supposed to launch sometime in March. Now, that was a safe date that I was told. I don't know if you know anything different, April, but
no, I don't know any different.
And so that's just tentative. With all the paper issues, we're just trying to work through all those and make sure that we can provide a complete toolkit. But yeah, right now the estimated date is sometime in March.
All right, guys, mark your calendars for March Designer Toolkit. I will definitely be getting one.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yes. Super exciting and really so great to have you both on today. It's really cool talking to people that are still so passionate about this industry and their career after working for the same company for 18 years. It's quite the accomplishment. It's very impressive and really unique because a lot of times I think as time goes on, people can get worn down or burn out, and you both clearly still have so much passion and clearly such a willingness to help others. Like you said earlier in the episode, we just want to help you, like help us help you and all of that. So thank you for your time today. This has been really, really fun.
Thank you. It has been a lot of fun. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Yeah, love this conversation, you guys. This was just a really great conversation. I know our audience will love hearing about the different offerings and getting a little behind the scenes of the people behind the paper. Hello. Okay.
I like that. I might use that as a headline.
Okay, you can steal that one.
The people behind the paper. That was great. Some alliteration in there.
I love alliteration, Shanna.
Yeah, me too.
We do. All right. So you guys have said before the website is Tog.Ink. Are there any other socials or anything we should be aware of?
Yeah. So we post on Instagram, Facebook, and we've started posting on Pinterest. Now I've just started taking over social. So
Yeah. What are the handles for all of those?
Instagram is @Tog.Ink. I always have to look because I can't ever remember if there's a dot in there or not, because the person who set up this account didn't put dot in there, and I'm a copywriter, so it's very important to have for me.
Well, I can tell you why. I just looked it up, and there is someone who has the dot one, and
okay, so
don't you hate that?
Yeah. So there you go, @Tog.Ink. And then let's see. Pinterest is just Tog.Ink. Our email out there is creativeteam@Tog.Ink. And then, Facebook, you can just search Tog. I think it's Tog.Ink, although I can't be certain. So I can look that
Don't worry, we'll find you.
Yeah.
They'll find you.
Yeah, I will say social, it's okay, but it's not my strong suit. I sound so old, don't I? I love it pushing the content and everything. But honestly, I actually it's tough because I try to keep away from it somewhat in my personal life, which means that I don't have the familiarity that some do, especially younger generations. So it's something I'm learning and working on.
Honestly, I have discovered, even as a millennial, that word of mouth is king. And so I too have stepped away from social so much. And when I have friends who tell me that they're really hung up on trying to figure out how to share or how to do social right or the best ways for it, I always just tell them, I'm like, just focus on your network, focus on your people that you already have, love on them as best as you possibly can. I could go on a whole other tangent aside from that, but the fact you guys are trying is really, really wonderful. Don't be too hard on yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, all we want is pretty paper. It's all good. No one sees it anyway. The algorithm hates everyone. So,
yeah. I will take any encouragement I can get, even the things that just, make me feel better. Like the algorithm hates people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that way
Hopefully
about,
that makes you feel better.
yeah. Sometimes I feel that way about search engine optimization.
Them too. Thank you guys. This has been such a great conversation. We loved having you on. And yes, go find them all at Tog.Ink. And thank you for another great episode. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.